continue. Our next talk will be about running a salon. And our guest speaker started the beauty salon business in 1980. She started Piandre Salon in 1987, coined after the names of her three daughters. Piandre Salon is now almost 400 people, strong with 14 branches, 11 or 13 in Metro Manila, and one in Mandaue City. Linda, our speaker, recently launched a book entitled Grit and Grace, talking about grit, a memoir. But to speak to us first would be her daughter, who has been with the company for over 20 years now. Her general manager, her name is Andrea, and she's a graduate of Ateneo de Manila University. She obtained her master's in entrepreneurship, also from Ateneo. She holds a certificate of hairdressing from the Vidal Sassoon Academy in London. And she has been, again, I mentioned, working with the family business for over 20 years. So Linda will join us later in the question and answer. But let me give you Andrea first. Andrea Lorenzana.
Hello. Thank you, Bunny. Hello, everybody. And thank you for inviting us to this forum. It had always been a dream of my mother to open Piandre Salon in the South. We were finally given the opportunity 5 years ago, where we found the perfect space right here in Oak Ridge in Mandaue. Our sincerest thanks to the Liu family for being the most compassionate landlords during this most difficult time. So I'm Andrea. I'm the general manager of Piandre Salon. My mother, Linda Francisco, our founder and CEO, is here with us, and she will be available for questions later on. Let me first give you a background of Piandre. We were established in 1987, and right now we have almost 400 employees spread across 14 branches, 13 in Metro Manila, and one right here in Oak Ridge. We are a family-owned business where my siblings and I all help out in one way or the other, but my mom is still in charge. I grew up in the business. I know a lot of you might be like me and might have started out as CEOs or child of owners. I joined the company back in 2001, first in the office, and then I learned to cut hair. So then as a trainer, and then now as general manager overseeing operations. As you know, the salon business is highly tactile and very much based on people. In the salon, we as owners cannot be there every single day for every single client. So we have to put our full trust in our people that they will give you just their best every single time. In Piandre, trust equates to competence and reliability. So I know ever since 30 years ago, my mom has made it her mission to take care of our people so that they can take better care of our customers. What does this exactly mean? At Piandre, let me show you a few examples of how we take care of our people. First is through skills. We have to be competent and updated to be competitive. We take them abroad or bring experts over to the Philippines to teach. The second is through providing a stable means of income. At Piandre, we give the correct government wage. Our salon staff get commissions and keep their tips. Something that we are most proud about at Piandre is that we also have a cooperative. The Salon Multipurpose Cooperative is the first and only cooperative in in the Philippines, that caters to salon professionals. Our cooperative is the only franchisee of Piandre and owns 2 branches in Manila. Throughout the years, the cooperative has been able to bridge the gaps of their needs and has contributed greatly to our staff, especially during the pandemic. One other way we take care of our staff is by listening to them. There was an instance back in 2018 when one staff said that she was happy at her job, happy with the work and income, but that she spent too much time in traffic. So in 2018, we did something that is not common in the salon world or in the blue-collar industries. We gave our staff 2 days off, but compensated them for 6 days to make a compressed work week. There was a bit of an adjustment for the clients, but ultimately it benefited everyone so much. It allowed them to have much needed time with the family. I think the most special part about being part of Piandre is that we focus on, we have a special focus on their spiritual needs, on the staff's spiritual needs. In our company, we have spiritual activities such as recollections, retreats, mass weddings, and other spiritual activities to strengthen the person. Communicating with our staff on a spiritual level also allows us to anchor each other on the universal values of Jesus Christ so that we are able to speak the same language. This became so important during the last 18 months. So in the first few days of lockdown last year, when there was so much panic and uncertainty, my mother, our CEO, called a meeting on Facebook Live with our 400 staff, for almost 400 staff. Without knowing how much we had in our bank accounts, she assured the staff that we would take care of their salaries during this time that they didn't go to work. Our mantra then was walang iwanan, no one left behind. This was when we thought that the lockdown would end after 2 weeks. So from very early on, my mother declared that we would do as we had always done, which was to be responsible for the almost 400 staff who relied on our company for their day-to-day needs. It wasn't always financial. On the third day of the lockdown, we also launched Piandre Flex, a daily Facebook live show where my mother's siblings and I would come out every day to talk about different topics. Sometimes to keep them informed, sometimes to keep them entertained, and most of the time to calm their fears and worries. Early on, my mother, our fearless leader, knew that it was going to be a battle of the spirit more than anything else. If the lockdown had ended after a month, we would have gone back to our normal lives without much reflection. But as it wore on and we continued to pay salaries, even if there was no money coming in, it gave us much pause. Because of the grace of God, in total, we continued to pay salaries throughout the 18 months of the pandemic. 6 months of those, our salons were closed. Now it seems to be an unbelievable feat, but really during that time and until now, we take things one day at a time, hence the title of our talk. I think when push comes to shove, the values that we had as a company remained, and we stood steadfast in our resolve to huddle together and take care of each other. But like I said, it did not happen all at once. In March 2020, we thought it would last 2 weeks, so we prepared cash for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks passed and we prepared again for next 2 weeks. At each turn in the darkness, we looked for the light that was enough for the next step, and we took it in faith that we would be guided. Our first light came in the form of home service. During the first lockdown in May, after being closed for 2 months, our clients were clamoring for salon services at home. In the salon industry, home service is a big no-no. Even we used to think that offering home service would kill our business. But because the pandemic had thrown us a new reality, we had to think differently. We had to leave our old ways and charter into unknown territory. We developed a home service that was official and fully supported by the company. In Piandre's home service, the staff have full access to all our products and equipment, even the shampoo bowl they bring to your house. And we bring them there with our own drivers. I think that after a year, this is a feat for me that now contributes significantly to our income. Our next step for when we finally opened in June was how to make the salon safe for our clients. We knew our problem that the highly tactile and close nature of our services would bring for our clients. So we set up our salons in such a way that would ensure social distancing. We reconfigured our stations, amped up our sanitation, converted our snack bars to sanitation counters, converted our private rooms to extra space for the staff room so the staff could be physically distanced from each other. We made a rotation of 2 teams. One team worked 4 days and another team worked 3 days a week. But through it all, we paid them their full wage of 6 days, even if they didn't fulfill the full hours. To regular workers, this of course could not be fair, but because we used the language of the gospel in our everyday meetings, the story of the workers in the vineyard was sufficient to explain that this was not a time for jealousy and entitlement. Slowly, the clients came back and started to trust the salon spaces again. When one of our staff tested positive, their whole team was put on quarantine for 2 weeks, and the other team worked straight for 2 weeks with no days off. It was the only way that we could ensure that business continuity despite the fears of getting infected. In March 2021, we were locked down again for 1 month. During this time, another light shone for the next step. My mom overheard another client say that they were getting tired of sanitizing with alcohol and would appreciate hand washing stations. The next day, she started getting her team of plumbers to thread pipes to the front of our salons where we could install hand washing stations with soap and water so that each person who entered the salon, both clients and staff, can wash their hands. which, as we know, since the start of the pandemic, has been the source of contamination. This became an added feature, which we were surprised to find out was included as a nice-to-have requirement in the IATF Safe Spaces program. When we got back to work in May of 2021, with our hand washing stations in place, the light for our next step shone on how to get our staff vaccinated. After the seniors were vaccinated, we became single-minded in our quest to vaccinate everyone. We talked to everyone again and again how important it was to get vaccinated. In the middle of it, everyone helped out. Our receptionists were registering our staff in different cities online. We were sending our delivery vans to shuttle people around town to their vaccine sites. When we heard there would be slots open for walk-ins, we would bring them all. It was a tremendous effort that as of today, there was only one person out of the almost 400 staff who has declined the vaccine. Our latest light for the next step happened this last month when we were locked down again from August 6 to September 16. During this time, we revisited our Facebook Lives and decided to do a spiritual journey of the Holy Land online. Almost every day we logged on about faith and hope. I don't know if you also felt it here, but in Manila, this last lockdown was quite hard, and a lot of people I know went into a depression. So I know that our virtual journey of the Holy Land was crucial for our staff's mental health. About a week before we were about to open, just 2 weeks ago, my mom thought of converting our event space in our building in Quezon City to an outdoor salon area. At that time, the rain in Manila was torrential, so we thought, who would want to go outdoors in this heat and rainy weather? But we thought, let's give it a shot. We were quite surprised when a few days before the opening, the IATF announced that their capacity would be 10% indoors and 30% outdoors. It was laughed at by a lot of people. And when people asked who had an outdoor salon, we had to sheepishly raise our hands and say, we do. So our outdoor salon has been featured in the news lately. And again, it's another pivot, something to consider because people now are okay to sit in the heat or sit in open air, not like before where aircon had to be the coldest. People now prefer something different, so we have to adapt. So we were moving again and again and again. If you ask us where we'll be in 6 months, I can honestly say that I know that Piandre will survive, even if we're not exactly sure how we'll get there, as we know we only have light enough for the next step. People ask us how we're surviving after 18 months of the pandemic, where our sales sometimes have dwindled to only 10% of what it used to be, but we continue to pay our staff and our obligations. We have kept almost all of our staff throughout this time, and people wonder how we did it. But I have to say that it has come at a great personal sacrifice. Something had to give. When it came down to the wire, some assets of the family really had to go. And yet, we have let go joyfully because we've seen, especially in the last 18 months, how quickly material wealth has come and gone and how life can end so soon. It really made us pause and think what really matters. I learned recently through a homily on the Beatitudes that the kingdom of God is at hand for those who do God's will. I always thought that we will get a reward at the end of our life, but revisiting the Beatitudes, the promise is right now at this present moment. The reward is already ours, and certainly we have had so much joy in these last 18 months of giving, despite great financial loss and sacrifice. I get random Facebook messages from our staff who tell us how they appreciate us, how they are the only person left in their family with a job, or that they're the only ones who are earning, and how grateful they are when we say, walang iwanan, and really mean it. And it's not just the staff. A surprising consequence is that even our clients have taken on this walang iwanan concept. In our business, our clients consider our staff family. So when they ask how they are and our staff says they're taken care of, our clients do their best to support us. Last week, I was quite touched when there was a client who just kept adding services to their home service because they told the staff, para makatulong kami sa mga owners ninyo. I can honestly say that what we received in the last 18 months has been so much more, something unquantifiable, that really when we follow the Beatitudes, where truly God's ways are not our ways. The reward is here now and also overflowing and abundant. The last 18 months has been a constant calibration for us to try to live out the values of Jesus in our lives and in our business. My new goal as the next generation of the company is to really continue my mom's legacy of making a truly Christ-centered business that is profitable and fruitful and provides livelihood that will uplift people out of poverty levels, not just for themselves, but for succeeding generations. So to end, I'd like to share with you a quotation from the theologian Henry Nouwen, from which I got the title of our talk today. Often we want to be able to see into the future. We say, how will next year be for me? Where will I be 5 or 10 years from now? There are no answers to these questions. Mostly we have just enough light to see the next step, what we have to do in the coming hour or the following day. The art of living is to enjoy what we can see and not complain about what remains in the dark. When we are able to take the next step with the trust that we will have enough light for the step that follows, we can walk through life with joy and be surprised at how far we go. Let's rejoice in the little light we carry and not ask for the great beam that would take all shadows away. So we in Piandre trust in Jesus to lead us to the next step. Thank you very much.
That was amazing, Linda. You know, I'm so touched with what you guys had done in the last 18 months. So must have been tough. So, Linda, I've got to congratulate you for training a wonderful daughter. So the question is,